Field shot, loops it down there, and wide open. Then the ball is knocked loose. The catch is made, and then the ball is knocked out of his hand.
From Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli.
You are lifting weights?
Correct. Does it not look like it?
Oh, the ball is free. Scooped up by Stroud. Circles, throws, complete on a busted play. Hutchinson.
Hey, Buzz Lightyear.
I love this shit. I'm gonna smile all day. Hey, cause it's fun when I whoop a man's ass.
All right, we are back. St. Patrick's Day return.
Dude, St. Perfect's Day.
Wow. Wow.
That's what day it is.
This
I think
is why...
I may have stolen that from Letterkenny.
Did you?
I think I might have.
This is why people tune in, though.
I know.
That's
why we get paid the big bucks.
So this is the kind of content that we reuse. Like, people will never see it unless we reuse it.
Exactly.
And steal it.
Exactly. So welcome back.
Welcome back
to the Bolts Podcast.
To the Bolts Podcast.
My name is Nick Cates. And my pronouns...
Let me do this for you. Are he, him.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
I mean, I don't want to assume, but I think I've heard you say it a few
times. Well,
times.
when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, but yes, those are my pronouns.
And my name is Ari Nori. And what are my pronouns?
He.
And?
Or. Him.
Or. And we are back. We're back with some Chargers transfer info. We are back with some WPL breakdown. We got so much going on today.
We do. We have a lot going on. Dude, the Dodgers season begins at 3:10 a.m. tomorrow morning. They fucked it so bad, it's worse than even cricket. Because at least if you get up at 6 a.m. in cricket, you still have an hour to prepare for the match.
Yeah.
Screw you, Rob Manfred. Anyway.
They are playing in Tokyo, Japan.
Tokyo, Japan.
Against the Cubs, would you like to get into that now, or we go?
Let's get into it after the.
Let's get into it after the NFL.
Football. The American sport that what they don't play in Japan.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they play in Japan. If you are a Japanese football player, please contact us at boltscricketpodcast@gmail.com, and you can appear on next week's episode with Shohei Ohtani. All right, let's get into the free agency of the NFL.
Let's do it.
We were talking last week about potentially going straight in with cricket this week, but just when we thought we got out, they pulled us back in. We had a big NFL free agency last week, and it began with a bit of a sad note. I don't know. I'm not sure how you felt about this one. Long-time Chargers defensive end, former third overall pick, Joey Bosa, was cut from the Chargers. And he signed a one-year deal with the Buffalo Bills for $12 million.
Yep.
I don't know. How do you feel about Joey?
It's always rough to see somebody who's kind of a franchise stalwart leave the franchise. But I'll also say that I think it's great for our cap space, and it gives us plenty of room to fish around. And then, which we'll get into, we retained Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
Which I'm also, I'm satisfied with how things turned out. I really am.
Yeah, no, me too. I with Joey, he was a great player for the Chargers for a very long time. He had some crazy seasons, especially in San Diego, and then back before the Chargers moved into SoFi when the team was in Carson, that were absolutely insane. Went to the playoffs, I think, 3 times with the Chargers. And won way back when, one playoff game, I believe.
I mean, before you continue, I just want to say this. Like, he had a 5-year deal for $135 million. I mean, he was the highest paid defensive end in the NFL.
Way too much.
Which is insane. And since his 2020 deal, he played 42 games.
Yeah.
42 games and 27 sacks.
And that's before we talk about how often he lined up offside last season.
Yeah. Which
was a lot. And for a veteran player, he shouldn't have been doing that.
I'll tell you this. We were paying $5 million per sack.
Oh man, yeah.
That's how few sacks he had.
That's rough.
So I'm, and that's no shade on him, but if you're getting paid that much, I'm just I'm pretty satisfied.
For cap space reasons, I think that was the right move, and we got to make Khalil back.
Wow. I like that.
We brought him Khalil back. I'm stoked. Khalil had some injury issues last season, so I'm hoping that he'll be able to get past those this season and deliver. I mean, he had a career year in the last year of Staley, very quietly, like most things that he does. But he had a great year. I think he's still got it. And clearly, I think that a big sign that you get from Khalil coming back is he wanted to play for a Super Bowl contender. He wanted to stay in the NFL to try and win a Super Bowl. He clearly thinks that this team, with another offseason and another training camp under Jimbo, we got something. So I think that that really speaks a lot of volumes, especially considering that Khalil has played for a lot of teams, including some Chargers teams that did not have it. So yeah, I'm hoping that's a really good sign. In terms of the free agent signings, the biggest marquee free agent I think that we signed was we got some offensive line help. We talked about a few different Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles who were free agents. Milton Williams went to the Patriots. Josh Sweat entered the fifth circle of hell by signing with the Cardinals. And on the other side of the ball, on the offensive line, big Mekhi Becton, newly minted guard, has signed a, I believe, 2-year deal with the Chargers. I think this is a great move. I think this is a really exciting development for us, especially considering with all of the troubles we had with interior pass rush last year, especially against the Chiefs and against the Texans. I think this is, in terms of who you're spending the most money on in terms of a new free agent acquisition, I think that this was a great get for Joe Ortiz.
I agree. We were amongst the worst interior line in the NFL of last year. We have Bradley Bozeman, we have Zion Johnson, Trey Pipkins III, and now we have the big dog. And I think this is really, really important. It's a $20 million deal for 2 years, which I like it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we need. This is why Harbaugh knows he's identifying what we need, and this is a step in the right direction because we need to make sure Herbert's not as pressured.
Oh yeah,
he as it is, he struggled last season to get out of the pocket.
Well, an interior pressure, like quarterbacks are trained to step up and evade and maneuver when dealing with pressure from the edge because it's gonna happen at a certain point. But interior pressure, especially quick interior pressure, if you get a defensive tackle who's getting in the backfield quickly, that's a problem. There's almost nothing you can do about that. You got a big giant, refrigerator of a man staring you directly in the face, sticking his arms up over your head so you can't see any of your receivers. Not a fun time. So I'm really happy to see this. We also, I don't know if you've seen this, but Daniel Popper at The Athletic's been talking a lot about they're going to be trying out Zion Johnson at center.
Okay, interesting.
I'm curious to see how that goes. Centers, it's a different. I'm kind of two minds. On the one hand, in terms of physicality, in terms of offensive line skills, he's probably a big-time upgrade over Bradley Bozeman. Unfortunately, I don't know what kind of experience Zion Johnson has lining up at center, but in terms of some of the more intangible qualities of playing center, things like making protection calls and, sort of leading the offensive line movement-wise, I don't know how much experience Zion has with doing those things. And so that's sort of where I worry, but I think that if he's taken to it, I think in one training camp it's absolutely realistic that he could learn to be a center at the NFL level. He's certainly got the size and the physicality and the tools to do it. So yeah, I'm interested to see that. And then, the question is, do they go out and try and sign or draft another guard, or maybe do they or a center, or maybe do they take a flyer on somebody in a late round of the draft? But the nice thing about Mekhi Becton, which we'll get to when we talk about the draft, is that it gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of who we can take at 21. Because as we talked about in the previous episode, there's quite a lot of volatility in terms of who could be ending up there. And this sets up, this along with some other moves, which we're going to talk about, is going to set up the Chargers really well to be able to just take the best player that they get if somebody who was projected to be in the top 10 or the top 15 falls down those extra picks and comes into their lap. So continuing on, last year we had to make some pretty brutal cuts to the roster. We had to notably, and one of the reasons why everybody was super down on the Chargers going into last year, we had to cut our two best receivers. Now with Keenan Allen, who ended up going to the Bears, Keenan, I think we did a pretty good job of replacing him. Joe Ortiz made a really good pick that ended up replacing Keenan Allen's production, I think, quite well in Ladd McConkey. They're not exactly the same player, but I think that Ladd filled those shoes well enough, or certainly as well as can be expected of a rookie. But our other top receiver, Mike Williams, we never really found a replacement for Mike Williams. You know, we tried some one-on-one balls to Q down the boundary with some mixed results.
That's what it was supposed to be.
A little bit, yeah. I think they were trying Q out in that role, but that's not so much Q's game. I think as we saw in his big game, he's really useful if you're deploying him all around the field and giving him a lot of different routes to run. So Chargers got to fill the shoes of Mike Williams. And luckily, this year in free agency,
we no longer have to do that.
yeah, the perfect person came along to fill the shoes of Mike Williams.
What's that?
Gentleman, wide receiver,
Uh-huh.
out of Clemson,
Okay.
by the name of Mike Williams.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike Williams, Mike Dub, is back with the Chargers.
Dub himself.
Hell
yeah.
I'm happy to see this. It was, first of all, I think it was only $4.2 million. It was a very low cap hit. It's not going to be a lot of money. I love this as a flyer. Just as a reminder for anybody who was away last year, or who wasn't away last year, but who missed Mike Dub's game. You can't stick him in single man coverage. If Herb throws the ball anywhere in his general direction in single man coverage, he will catch it, and he will gain a lot of yards. I think strategically this opens up quite a lot of options, especially if Mike shows that he still needs to be doubled on any man coverage plays. It means that Ladd McConkey is going to be pretty goddamn open, or Mike Williams is going to be pretty goddamn open. And I'm excited to see that. And Mike Dub, I've seen him get wide open in zone coverage as well. So he's a really good deep threat receiver. Not the fastest guy in the world, but big, physical. One of the best in the NFL at catching 50-50 balls, I'm sure still. And yeah, I'm excited to see how he integrates with the offense again.
Yeah, I mean, look, he played 7 of his first seasons with the Chargers, right? I say 7 of his first season, but his first
7 of the first
seasons,
8, yeah.
with the Chargers. And then he didn't really get going in New York, nor did he really get going with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He had his moments, but he really wasn't the star. I think he's comfortable playing with the Chargers. He's comfortable with Herb.
That's what I'm saying. They've got the QB connection. It's not like it's not like you have to form that bond or anything. With Rodgers, he was actually saying, because I encourage you to go and watch his press conference. He was saying that with Rodgers, he has his guys, and Mike Dub never played with Rodgers before, so he sort of has his guys that he trusts. And I don't know, maybe Aaron Rodgers was putting too much trust in those guys and not enough trust in some of the other weapons that he had. But I think that he's got a lot of really good potential to play well. He knows the building, he knows everything. And watching his press conference, he looked so relieved to be back on the Chargers, which was like that's a shock. Like this man, he dealt with Carson, he dealt with all of Brandon Staley, and then he lost the awesome first year of Jimbo. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hoping for a big season, a big bounce back year for Mike Dub. It would be just like story wise, it would be such a great story to see him, really bounce back and be the receiver we watched for so long, the dominant 50-50 ball guy.
Yeah. And
so,
and for reference, I don't know, his morale was probably low anyway. 9 games with the Jets for 166 yards, right? 9 games with the Steelers for 9 catches for the Steelers with 132 yards in 9 games.
In 9
right?
games, yeah.
That's it's just I can see the low morale in the stats.
Well, and it speaks to a guy who's pinging around the NFL and keeps having to learn new systems. You got to remember, new team, new playbook, new quarterback, all of this different stuff. He went from one quarterback in Aaron Rodgers to another quarterback in Russell Wilson, who plays very differently. Mm-hmm. Although I would have thought, given how much Russell Wilson loves a boundary receiver, that Mike Dubb would have really succeeded there, and that was probably a lot of the thinking in bringing him over. But it's also, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the connection just didn't form, and if it's not there, if the trust isn't there, quarterbacks won't go to you.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what he can do. I'm really excited to see how teams are going to line up against us, how teams are going to try and deal with that threat.
Yeah. Speaking of Russell Wilson, do you think he's going to go to the Jets? Because Rodgers is probably going to get cut from the Jets, go to the Giants. Russell Wilson.
Rodgers already got cut from the Jets.
Right.
Yeah,
he's going to go to the
they're
Giants.
looking at the Giants.
Yeah.
I've also heard the Vikings, which would be pretty funny.
That would be hilarious. I think, as a New Yorker, as a former Giants fan, I feel like Rodgers to the Giants, I would be so happy about that. As a Giants quote-unquote fan.
You can still be a Giants fan. I talk about liking the Patriots on this
too, right?
on this podcast.
Because we need it. We need some of that. We need that. You know what I mean? Like that stability.
My question is about, because I think a lot of the issues in New York were about management, and I also think that Rodgers got too much control. And I unfortunately, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because anywhere he's going to go, he probably wants a lot of control. I don't know. Self-awareness and Aaron Rodgers have never been two things that have gone hand in hand. But if he has enough self-awareness to recognize that things really didn't work in New York, he should at least be able to expect that he's not going to get the same level of control that he had. So if they just treat him like any other football player, it could work. With the state the Giants are in now, honestly, it makes sense to sign him just because they need a quarterback, and you don't want to have to take Shedeur Sanders in the top 10.
I mean, the other option is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson he spoke with the Giants, and he spoke with the Browns, and he couldn't reach an agreement with either one. But his preference is the Steelers, which ain't happening, as far as I know, as far as I think, as far as I may surmise. It's going to be fascinating how this all turns out.
Oh, yeah.
Because Pittsburgh, the Giants, the Vikings.
Who's quarterbacking the Steelers? Exactly.
We don't know.
It would be the one thing about Russ going to the Jets that would be really funny is that they would literally just be the 2024 Steelers.
Yeah.
With Russ and Justin Fields. So that would be hilarious. But yeah, this is all really weird. If I'm the Giants, I definitely sign one of those two guys, though, because I do not want to spend a top pick on a quarterback this year.
Yep.
You don't have number one. You're not getting Cam Ward. You could trade up for him, but why trade up for him when, you can sign Aaron Rodgers and get a year of bad publicity, which there's no such thing as bad publicity, or at least that's how the ownership of the Giants probably thinks, and make a bunch of money and still not win any games.
Yeah. I do want to say this as well. The Titans are most probably going to take Cam Ward.
It's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I don't think Will Levis is a long-term option at quarterback for them.
Yeah,
Can we go back to the free agent signings for 2 seconds?
Yes.
So, next on the free agent list, from the Steelers, running back. Big, bruising, durable running back. If there was one criticism I had of J.K. Dobbins last season, it was best ability is availability, and J.K.'s availability was questionable for most of the season. Pun intended.
Nice.
Najee Harris. Big bruising guy, almost impossible to bring down. First guy rarely brings him down. Unlike J.K. Dobbins, has never missed a game in his NFL career. Has gone over 1,000 yards every season of his NFL career. I'm optimistic about this one.
I am too. I when I first heard about it, I didn't know what to think, because he's not somebody who makes a splash. He's not a headliner. He's not somebody who you He's not a star.
Yeah.
But he is a big name.
He's a pretty top tier runner. If you play fantasy football, he's a good guy to have on your team.
Yeah. And so I am, as I've done my research on it, I'm very, very excited about it. And for those of you, special shout out to Caleb Presley. Those of you who want to watch what Najee Harris's personality is like, go to a Sunday Conversation with Caleb Presley. It's pretty funny.
Pretty
damn funny.
All right.
I would recommend.
I will check that out.
Check it out.
But yeah, I'm excited to see this. I think that if there's one thing one big takeaway I have from the signing, this is the big attempt at executing Greg Roman's offense, right? We're loading up on offensive line guys. We got a big bruising running back. The point of the offense is to wear the opposing defense down. And I think this year we're going to see once and for all whether or not that power running offense is going to work, or if we're going to need to switch the run game to something else that's a little bit less predictable. We will see, but I'm excited to see if it works. I definitely think we're way more equipped to run some of these plays than we were last year, and if it does work, I think you're going to start to see us dominate a lot more teams because being able to win up front, you see it with the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs, in terms of skill positions, a lot of times it's questionable, right? They got one receiver and he gets DUIs every weekend. Exception here for Jay-Z.
For Jay-Z.
For Jay-Z. Exception for Jay-Z. Shit, I completely derailed myself. Exception for Xavier Worthy, who was exonerated after being arrested last week, but the Chiefs traded away most of their receiving corps, right? They traded Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, declined last year, but they succeed because they had a line up front that, at least until recently, could protect Patrick Mahomes. And more to the point, they had a defensive line which could fuck up your offensive line. And so this is the philosophy that Greg Roman and Jimbo want to bring in to the Chargers, and I think that these signings really, really support that.
For me, it's always about comfort level for the quarterback's options, right? And for the offensive coordinator, if he has a certain level of comfort with his talent, right? If he feels like, okay, no matter what play I run, I have the execution, right? I have the bench strength or the depth of talent to execute, right? I captain a cricket team, you know this.
Yes.
It's always, for me, it's like I go in with 6 bowlers, or maybe even 7, 3 spinners, 3 pacers. I want to be able to only use 5, because but I have the option to use 2 more. So no matter what play I run, so to speak, I have the option. And I think this is really deepening our horizons and deepening, our options, Roman's options, Herbert's options.
Well, and the ability, with this offense, they're not. In a lot of ways, we saw this year, defenses might know what's coming. You might know what we're going to throw at you. You might know how we're going to block it. But the point of this is we're going to stick 5 bad motherfuckers up front. Good luck stopping them from blocking you out of the way.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that they're doing a good job of supporting this. The question is that still going to work in the NFL, or do you have to have something that's a little bit more varied than that? Do we have to have something else that we can pull out of our pocket, whether that be a zone blocking scheme or an RPO or something like that we can pull out and throw other teams a curveball? Because if we don't have the brute strength to just muscle teams out of the way, which we very well could, and we don't have any kind of a change-up to throw at them when they get used to us bringing in heavy sets and running the ball up the middle, you get issues where the offense gets stagnant like we saw so many times last season. So I'm going to be really curious, honestly, to see if this works, and if it doesn't work, we probably need a new offensive coordinator. That's, Anyway, on the other side of the ball, we have some... I guess you could call them flyers. I like to call them just really good Joe Ortiz chances.
Yeah.
In the same way that Joe Ortiz took good chances on Poona Ford, who we'll be talking about. Elijah Molden, who's back. Christian Fulton, who's not back. Christian Fulton, I believe, went to the Chiefs. So, yeah. And those are, so at corner... he signed Dante Jackson, he's been a little bit inconsistent, but the knock on him is that he can't play man coverage, which is great for the Chargers because Jesse Minter runs more zone than anybody else. And in zone, Dante Jackson intercepts a shit ton of passes. If you watch the tape that the Chargers put out of him after he signed, it is mostly interceptions. This dude is a ball hawk. He can really pick off the ball. So I love to see that. And then from Washington, we brought in Benjamin St. Juste, who's a little bit more nose to the grindstone type of corner. He's a little less flashy, not as many picks, but he breaks up a lot of passes. And Benjamin St. Juste, there's a lot of fumbles on that tape. Forces a lot of fumbles. He knows how to punch a ball out.
Canadian,
Benjamin St. Juste. We love our Canadians. Yes, Ariane, you also love
I love
Canadian heroes.
I love. That's what I love.
And love.
I love loving people.
Including Canadians. Especially Canadians.
Especially people who like Canadians. How about that?
There we go.
Yeah. Go
on. There's some Canadians. There's some Canadians we can all get behind.
Like whom?
Benjamin St. Juste.
That's true. Benjamin may be the bridge between me and Canada.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's another thing I'm watching for, because as a longtime lover of the nation of Canada, you know I love Canada.
Yeah, it's true. We talked about. I was at Ralph's and I was like, oh, I'm getting pasta sauce, and that's when we were talking about Canada somehow.
That's amazing. We got from tomato
Weird.
paste to Canada. Tomato paste isn't even an ingredient in poutine.
Vladimir Putin. This is why we have a podcast.
Yeah, we need to get these impulses out. Like you've had Vladimir Putin cocked and loaded for quite a while.
No outlet whatsoever.
No outlet.
What does that do to a man?
Exactly. That's how insanity forms. Man.
There's no Saint Justus in any of this.
You're
nice segue. Am I right?
Dude, nailed it.
Right back into it.
Absolutely nailed it. Let's go to the position of defensive tackle.
Alrighty.
I mentioned Poona Ford
We lost him.
to the Rams.
Fair enough. Still in the same city.
Still in the same city, and he went for a decent amount of money, though not an amount of money the Chargers couldn't have paid. We could have kept him, but we decided to go in a slightly different direction. We brought back Tyre Tart, which I like. Tyre Tart was one of my favorite sort of under-the-radar players of last season. He made a lot of really big plays for the Chargers. And then we signed Deshaun Hand from Miami, who's had injury troubles earlier in his career, but he played the most snaps of any season of his career last year. So if he can stay on the field, he's a good run blocker. And then Naquan Jones, who I watched fuck the Chargers shit up when he played for the Cardinals last year in my Demon from Hell still haunts my dreams to this day game.
Mm-hmm. Can I just say this before we continue?
What?
Tyre Tart's last tweet, or last X, so to speak. He wrote, "Tried to write me off, but I ain't right back." Hashtag bolt up. I fucking love that.
I love that.
That's.
I'm looking forward to another great season of from Tyre Tart after hearing that. That's great, man. He's the greatest Tart since Jamie. Let's fucking go. At linebacker, we brought back Troy Dye and Denzel Perryman. I love seeing Denzel back.
Same. He
He is a inflictor of pain up the middle. Love to see it. And longtime Charger. Just love having him around.
Charger, yeah. It's great that we only parted with him for a limited time.
Exactly. And he went to the Raiders, learned his lesson, came back.
Yeah.
That's all we needed.
He was also at the Texans.
That's true. Texans are all right.
Yeah.
They're better than the Raiders.
They are. But a season with the Texans doesn't really count.
You just I get it, man. Ohio State. I get it.
He did take a $500,000 pay cut.
There we go. Helping the team.
$3 million, 1-year contract.
I like it. Playing with, honestly, he'll probably be backing up Dayon and Junior Colson next year for the most part, because if Junior Colson can stay healthy, I think we're going to see a lot more of him on the field next year. But yeah, I love having Denzel back. And Troy Dye, great depth and great special teams player. So always glad to have him back. And we lost Nick Neiman, who was our last really good special teams player in free agency. I hope this doesn't negatively affect the Chargers too much, because regular viewers of John Boyce will remember the season when the Chargers had the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense, and because our special teams were so bad, we didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. Anyway, for the draft. So how does this all affect the draft, and how does it affect the conversation we had last time? So now our biggest need, now that we've lost Poona Ford, is a defensive tackle. This is one reason why losing Poona Ford could be good. This is a very defensive tackle-heavy draft. Many of the best prospects are at defensive tackle, and there are a couple of defensive tackles, namely Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss and Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, one of our beloved college football teams here on this podcast, will likely be available to the Chargers at 22. I was talking to you about Kenneth Grant on the phone yesterday. This dude is 6'2", maybe 6'4", 340 pounds, runs a 40 under 5 seconds, absolute gigantic beast of a man, and can run down rushers on outside zone, even though he's a defensive tackle, which is kind of insane. Again, imagine a refrigerator running at you at like 15 miles an hour.
Why don't you go catch it?
Good. But so Kenneth Grant could well be available. Derek Harmon out of Oregon probably will be gone before the Chargers pick, but I don't know. In a couple of my simulation mock drafts, he's been available at 22, so he could be an option. Outside of defensive tackles, I still continue to see Colston Loveland linked with the Chargers. More optimism about him being available at 22, but I think he's another one of those high variance guys. Easily could be available at 22 or could not be available at all at 22. And one other guy I wanted to talk about, Matthew Golden out of Texas, at the wide receiver position. I've talked a lot about wanting to have like a big-time deep threat receiver on the Chargers. You can tear the top off of a defense. Well, Matthew Golden runs the 40 in 4.29 seconds, which would be perfect for that. Because that time is so fast, he could very well go before that, because that is a pretty insane skill to have, to be able to run that quickly and have that kind of explosiveness. But I would definitely like to see him on the Chargers as well.
It seems like he's going to be taken, according to a mock draft from CBS, he might be taken by the Cowboys.
Yeah, it would make sense if Genty doesn't fall to them.
Because they need somebody to help CD out.
Well, they also need like star power, because they're the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And they do draft receivers well, so that would make sense. And he went to Texas, but if that doesn't happen, there's. We talked last week about Mel Kiper projecting Ted McMillan falling to the Chargers, which is not going to happen. I will be very shocked. And if it does happen, you can clip me saying that and play it back on the podcast after we draft Ted McMillan at 22. But it's much more realistic that Ted McMillan could fall to the Cowboys. So I could definitely see that happening. And yeah, I think there's a few different options there, and there's a few different people that they could go for. But I wanted to mention him because I've seen him around 22 in a few mock drafts, and I think he could be really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Dodgers.
Wow. What a segue. So, Dodgers. First game's against the Cubs.
Against the Cubbies. At the Tokyo Dome. Which is in Tokyo, Wisconsin. Just kidding.
That would be great. Not, because Japan's great.
Japan is great. Is there a Tokyo, Wisconsin? If you're from Tokyo, Wisconsin, please email us at boltscricketpodcast@gmail.com.
I'm looking to see if there's a Tokyo, Wisconsin, which there is not.
Damn.
Tokyo Japanese restaurant in Rice Lake, Wisconsin exists.
If you would like us, if you are a mayor of a small town in Wisconsin and you would like us to live film an episode of the podcast in your town, we will do it, but only if you rename your town to be called Tokyo.
There's a Tokyo, Texas, which is I-O.
No, I need the Y.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's just not the same.
Can't believe it.
I can't believe I even went there. My apologies. My apologies to all Japanese people, to all Texans, to all Americans.
Anyways, the Dodgers are on at 3:10 a.m. tonight. We have
Pacific.
Thanks for all the Dodgers fans. Really great. 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Dodgers are on at 3:10 today. We have Yoshinobu Yamamoto against Shota Imanaga for the first pitching matchup that I probably won't see because
You're not
going to be asleep.
Yep.
And then in the second game, we have new signing Roki Sasaki.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Roki go way back, as regular listeners know. Roki Sasaki will be facing off against Justin Steele. That'll be fun. I'd be interested to watch both sides of that pitching matchup. Actually, that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And these are games 1 and 2 of 162, so yeah, they don't matter that much. But after the IPL's over, get ready to hear way more about the Dodgers because it's the only team we're gonna have to talk about.
Yeah.
Unless the Kings can get out of the first round.
God.
But yeah, that'll be fun. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see the new signings. I'm excited to watch Tokyo Dome baseball because Tokyo Dome's a cool stadium.
Yeah.
Be fun.
We also signed Blake Snell. We signed Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates.
We signed Blake Snell. I don't know if that was our first podcast or maybe our second podcast, but I got that notification on air when we signed Blake Snell.
I also, like 30 minutes before we started, one of the podcasts, we signed Roki as well.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we got 7 players on 9-figure deals. Crazy money in
They
this
hate
team.
us because they ain't us.
They
I don't
really,
know what to
really
say.
do, and I'm very excited about this.
I can't wait, man. 81 games. We're going to go to the top deck.
We are
We're gonna get-
overwhelming favorites to win this World Series. Overwhelming.
Which tells me that we're not going to. But we'll see. Listen, my attitude going into last year's playoffs was we're not going to win the World Series until we do, and we did. So maybe.
We're not going to win the World Series until we do.
Yeah. Still,
And we will.
We're not winning, but we might. But we're not. But we might.
We already have.
We already have. Anyway, since we're almost totally in sync, let's get on to that other stick and ball sport.
Are you talking about cricket?
Oh my God, yes I am.
Wow.
I can't believe it.
Big news coming out of men's cricket. Big news coming out of women's cricket.
Oh yeah.
We got the Champions Trophy. Done and dusted.
We also got
The Women's Premier League.
done and dusted. And now we have to sit here for a week and not watch cricket in the morning. We can't even watch the Dodgers because they're on at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
No cricket.
No cricket.
They hate us, man.
They hate us.
This is like losing to the Chiefs.
Ugh.
But being inflicted by sports schedulers.
It doesn't get any worse than getting inflicted upon
By sports schedulers. It's the worst.
It doesn't get any worse than that.
Does not get any worse than that. Our
But-
mornings are boring and regular, and we have to do regular people things in the morning instead of watching sports.
A human being.
I can't
Human being
believe it.
things. But,
But
Champions Trophy. You want to get into it, or should I get into it?
go ahead and get into it.
Beautiful.
I want to hear your opinions.
Nick and I had different expectations of what the final would be like going into it. I had predicted an India-Australia... Oh, no, I'm sorry.
You
I
went
predicted
full
it.
pessimist, dude.
I went South Africa-Australia final with South Africa... No.
You picked the No, you was South Africa, Australia. You picked the technicality final.
I picked the South Africa-Australia final
Yeah.
with Australia favored to win.
Yeah.
Now, this was because, once again, I was emotionally protecting myself. Because I was like, India's going to choke the semifinal, and then we're going to have Australia in the final with South Africa. I wanted to protect myself, as one does. And I said, South Africa, the way they're playing, are going to best New Zealand in the semifinal. I was off on both accounts, and Nick's dream final was in India-New Zealand.
Because they were the two coolest teams left, let's be honest.
And maybe Jay Shaw heard you, because he listens to this podcast.
Absolutely.
But final was India versus New Zealand with Rohit Sharma facing off against Mitchell Santner,
Mitchell Santner.
Capitan.
Honestly, deserved. Mitch Santner has been a very good captain in this tournament. I think that beating India is a tough ask of anybody, but that was the only team he lost to. I think that Mitch Santner made a lot of really, really good strategic decisions. Honestly, anytime I was turning on my TV to watch Champions Trophy highlights, most of the time, it was Mitch Santner making a good strategic decision.
Yep.
So, shout out Mitch Santner. Not the most famous New Zealand cricketer, but a very good one. And quiet, like literally all of them.
He reminds me of Daniel Vittori
Yeah.
because he's got both. He's
Yep.
a lefty
Oh,
spinner.
yeah.
He's got the batting prowess.
He's really got both.
Yes, he does.
Like I dare say maybe even an induction into our true all-rounders list.
Oh, 1,000%. I would say so.
You know, with like Hardik and Jadoo and Shakib Al Hassan and like nobody else.
That's literally it.
That's literally it.
Yeah. Akshar Patel.
Akshar Patel.
Yeah. But first of all, shout out to Rachin Ravindra, man of the series.
A budding true all-rounder too.
He's fantastic.
He's insane, man.
He made
that
a
dude
splash.
is nuts.
He made a splash because he did debut against India, and
Didn't he take like 6 wickets or something like that in his debut
he
against
scored
India?
so many runs against us, and he took wickets.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable.
And he played great in this series too. I think in the semifinal he was like unbeatable on both sides.
Yeah. So he was the man of the series, but let me break down the final real quick. Basically, so breakdown of the final here. New Zealand put in a bat first, right? Now they struggled. They struggled against Varun Chakravarti,
As most do.
as most do. They struggled against Kuldeep Yadav, which not a lot of people do. But he only gave a 4 economy rate. Struggled against Akshar
So they
Patel.
didn't struggle so much against Kuldeep Yadav as much as he just took wickets. You were talking last week about how he is Mr. I give up a 6 one way and then I take the wicket on the
Yes.
next ball.
Yes.
And that seemed to have played itself out very well in the
Yes,
final.
it did, yes. He took 2 wickets. Varun Chakravarti took 2 wickets. Akshar Patel, now I feel bad for Akshar because he doesn't get that many wickets. But he is one of those bowlers that'll give you over after over of accurate deliveries, puts the pressure on the batters, and then other people come in and scalp those wickets.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You need both. Especially in any format you need both, but especially in limited overs, you need to be able to stack up those dots even when you have 50.
Yep. And then Jadeja, even better, 3 economy rate for 10 overs, 1 wicket. And
Perfect human.
we had 1 run out. So that's 7 wickets we took for 251 for New Zealand. In response, India was never in a spot.
Pretty good total for New Zealand at 251 too.
It's really not.
All things considered, though, against India in Dubai, where they've been playing the entire time, and you've been playing in Pakistan the entire time.
I guess that's fair.
You have to fly over, and all of a sudden you're in a city that doesn't have an actual sewage system. Like that must have been a really big adjustment. Whereas like India had been there for weeks, and they'd been seeing the poop trucks for weeks.
Yeah. Because I think they struggled against the spin attack as well. You know, yes, there was a change of venue. Everyone's been cribbing about the change of venue, but it's also the spin attack just really got to them. You know, and in response, India was never in a spot of bother. Really, the only outlier was Kohli, 1 off 2, and it sucks to see it, but I don't know. He's been inconsistent. I'm glad he got some runs in this tournament, but the real hero was Shreyas Iyer throughout the tournament.
As always, he's always the real hero.
But yeah, just to conclude the final, KL Rahul scored 34 off 33 not out. The big turn up in the big game was Mr. Rohit Sharma with 76 off 83. Stumped Rachin Ravindra.
I will just say about Rohit Sharma, he is I'm happy to see him getting back into the runs, left-hander and all-time great cricketer. Gotta love Rohit Sharma. I will say the biggest thing that impressed me even more than his 76 runs is
Did you
that...
say left-hander?
Pretty sure he is a left-hander.
Rohit?
Fuck.
I was like, I want to make sure you get that right.
I thought I was told to watch Rohit because he was a left-hander.
Maybe Gautam Gambhir.
Rohit Sharma, but if you flip him around, he kind of resembles Yuvraj Singh.
Yeah, you should watch. Yuvraj Singh you should watch. And
That's
you're
who
right.
I should watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rohit Sharma, all-time great cricketer. Always great to see him amongst the runs. The biggest thing that impressed me about Rohit Sharma is that he
His
seems...
right-handedness?
Rohit Sharma, all-time great cricketer. Always great, Aryan, to see him amongst the runs with his right-handed batting.
It is, but because it so rarely happens.
So,
Never happens.
listen, if you're editing this is all, you get to cut all of this out.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I didn't get on you for predicting the entire final completely wrong. So, forgive me if I forget that Rohit Sharma is right-handed.
And that's he's short one trophy, which is the ODI World Cup.
He wasn't in the squad. Didn't India win the last ODI World Cup?
Not with him as captain. No, we didn't win. We lost to Australia in the final, bro.
Fucking hell,
That is like
bro.
the most heart-wrenching final we've ever lost. In India, in Ahmedabad, right? We lost. People were depressed for ages, and they're
Fuck.
still depressed about that. But people were so happy when we beat Australia in the semis of the Champions Trophy because it was this like revenge, retribution for the final that we lost in India. So people were very happy about that, and
So was I. Australia probably shouldn't have even been in the semifinals of the Champions Trophy.
a lot of technicalities. And look, they showed that they didn't deserve to be in it because they got drubbed.
They played like a team that got in with 2-0 results. It
Yeah.
made perfect sense.
Yeah. And India was like, I was so scared to call it in India's favor, but we really were a very well put together team. And I have to say, the Gautam Gambhir effect is just kicking it, bro. Like,
Gautam Gambhir, mid-captain, great coach.
the decision to remove Rishabh Trousers from that, what a genius.
Rishabh Trousers.
I mean, yeah, you're compromising a little bit on keeper quality with KL Rahul, but you got consistency with KL Rahul with the bat.
And I think KL Rahul's game is well suited to ODIs, whereas Rishabh Pant is more of a hit everything type of guy. That's much more suited to a T20. You can't lose your wicket that fast in an ODI.
So that's a wrap on Champions Trophy. I will say it was it was kind of like an anticlimactic tournament as a whole. There was rain interruptions.
My number one takeaway is still God has forsaken that tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Champions Trophy is a little redundant. I think it's always more entertaining when there are more teams and more upsets and whatnot. I think this is a very like stagnant tournament.
Yeah.
It's not that fun to watch.
It would be more fun if somebody got into the top 8 of the World Cup and shook things up a little bit.
That's true. I mean, Afghanistan is the big team.
Yeah, they were the big
and we mentioned them
surprise, and we talked a lot
last
about them
podcast,
on the last episode.
because we do love them very much. Afghanistan is doing great, and I think that it takes time. These things take time.
Well, and they keep developing great cricketers, and all of them are 22 years old right now. You know, they haven't even hit their primes yet.
I feel bad for the likes of Bangladesh because there was a 3 or 4 year period between 2014 and 2020 where they were doing great. They were always the team like that you never knew would surprise you or not. And they're right back to kind of where they were when I started watching cricket like 15 years ago.
They're not it anymore.
They're not it
yeah.
anymore, and it's rough. It's rough to see, but
I don't know. I watched them. I think it was Bangladesh, New Zealand, and it was just a little bit disappointing. I don't know. Mushfiqur Rahim is not him.
yeah,
He's not him.
He thinks he's him,
But he's not him at all. Shakib Al Hassan is him.
Shakib Al Hassan is him. Shanto, Najmul Hussain Shanto.
Yeah,
is
he's
him.
very good. Yeah.
Muhammadullah, I have loved for a long time. I don't
He's
think he's
so old
very
now.
Old. He's very old.
He's-
It takes me
yeah.
back to the time when Yunus Khan, Misbah ul Haq retired.
I was gonna say, yeah, like what are we, 2011? Like,
Yeah, Misbah ul Haq retired, and they couldn't find anybody. So they literally told him to come out of retirement and played him again.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't want to get my facts wrong, but he was over 40, if I'm not mistaken.
Pakistan, let your guys just retire.
They really milked Yunus Khan, Shoaib Malik, and Misbah ul Haq for as long as they possibly could. Muhammadullah's 39, which is actually not that old. But it's
Pretty damn old in like
pretty
most sports.
for an all-rounder especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that, like think of all of the strain on his body in 39 years of batting and bowling. That's a lot.
Umran Malik bowls 4 overs, and he needs 10 and a half or 11 hours of sleep, he says, which is... It's just- But yeah, that is a wrap on the Champions Trophy breakdown.
Yeah.
if you have anything you'd like to add.
I don't think so. I was one small shout out, though he is a little bit of a cricketing nepo baby, but I thought Michael Bracewell was very good for New Zealand as well. Yeah. Didn't have a great match with the ball against India in the first go round, but he got Kohli out this time. And I don't know. I thought he bowled quite well for most of the tournament, and honestly, the best moments for New Zealand with their attack were with Santner and Bracewell at either end and just choking out the runs in those middle overs. They did a great job and were deservedly in the final. And I'm glad that they made it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you have anything else you'd like to add or any questions about the Champions Trophy, please email us at boltscricketpodcast@gmail.com.
Especially if you're Jay Shaw.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
With that, we move to the WPL, and that is all you, my friend.
Oh, hell yeah. So the WPL, after the last episode, I don't know, I enjoyed my watching of it over the past week or so. I would say maybe a little bit less. But we still had some serious highlights. So protagonist of this podcast, Sneh Rana, was up to it again. First, against UP, she played maybe my favorite innings of the entire tournament. It was chasing. I think they were chasing like 199 or something like that.
It's a high total for the WPL.
Very high, although we saw some very high totals towards the end of this WPL. She made 26 off 6. And my favorite thing about it, it was oops, all slog sweeps. Who are you reminded of?
Chris Lynn.
More than that, Indian player, all slog sweeps.
You're going to say KL, right?
No. Scores way faster than KL. Finisher.
Oh, Rishabh Pant?
Finisher. All-rounder finisher. Slog sweeps.
Oh,
not as good. Keep going down the list of Indian all-rounders. I'll give you a hint. He haunts my dreams.
Rahul Tewatia?
Yes. 26 off 6, finishing innings, slog sweeps. It was positively Tevatian, and I fucking loved it. Then she went out against in the dead rubber against MI because unfortunately the run chase came up short, not because of Sneh Rana. The run chase against UP came up short. She took 3 for 26 in the dead rubber against MI to prevent MI from advancing directly to the final. So, freedom fighter Sneh Rana. I wanted to talk for a little bit about the Eliminator, and specifically the team that was eliminated in the Eliminator, and specifically their opener. We are, of course, talking about the Gujarat Giants and Beth Mooney. Remember, we were talking about KL Rahul. Wicketkeeper, starts slow, doesn't consistently make big totals of runs. Punjab KL, and that was the problem in the Eliminator. She didn't get off the mark. It was too much work for Harleen Dial and Ash Gardner to get done. Ash Gardner just didn't score big runs consistently enough in the tournament. She hit the most sixes, but that was about it, sadly. There were some really good flashes from Ash Gardner, but unfortunately, Beth Mooney didn't really set the tone at the top, and it didn't work. And it's too bad, but yeah, this is why I have my doubts about KL Rahul in the IPL, is that
because of Beth Mooney.
Because of Beth Mooney reminding me of KL Rahul in the IPL. Yeah.
He shouldn't be opening the batting, for sure. He's a good middle order bat. I don't think he should be opening the batting.
I would be curious to see how he bats in the middle order, but he's mostly just been used as an opener in the IPL.
He's got to be an anchor.
But I feel like if he comes in at number 3, he's just gonna soak up balls, just like if he comes in at number 1.
Well, the thing with number 1 is that you need to capitalize on the power play, especially in the IPL,
which he doesn't do.
Exactly. So he can't be opening.
Yeah.
So he needs to come in to prevent if there's you're losing 1 wicket, you lose 2 wickets. Suddenly you need to prevent a collapse.
If you can have him in the team if you can afford that luxury that you can have him in the team to do that, then yeah, I think he could definitely be a real. I mean, that's what DK did.
DK? For whom?
Well, Dinesh Karthik, he was basically retired and then he came back, became a finisher for RCB, and boom.
Finisher, yes.
Yes.
So you're saying, what are you saying? What is the parallel with Dinesh Karthik and KL Rahul?
Well, they're both wicket keepers, and if they go further down the order, they might find some more success. Boom.
Yeah, if you use KL as I think he has it in him to be a finisher. He's too selfish to try that. You know?
It doesn't need to be. KL. Beautiful things happen in this world when you put yourself down there. Look at DK, look at Dhoni, look at all these guys. Wicket keepers, down the order, lots of sixes. No problem if you get out in a couple of balls. Try it, Delhi Capitals. Report back. Speaking of the Delhi Capitals, they made the final of this tournament to play against, sadly, the Mumbai Indians, the antagonists of this podcast, along with the Chiefs. My line last week on the Delhi Capitals was Meg Lanning and Shafali Verma go burr, and they do until they don't. They did a decent job with the ball, Delhi Capitals, limiting Mumbai to 149, although I think some of that might have been the pitch. Judging
Excuses.
Dude, you're the Delhi fan, not me.
I don't even like Delhi. I mean, this final was the least interesting final of any tournament. Mumbai versus the Delhi Cap. The only less interesting final was when Hyderabad played Chennai, I think, and I think Hyderabad won that's the only
The Battle of South India.
No, that's fine. But like Hyderabad Chennai, it's so uninteresting, bro.
But I mean, there's only 5
What
teams.
was it, Bangalore? I can't remember. But either way, it was uninteresting.
You only have 5 teams, though. Like, Delhi Mumbai is going to happen when there's only 5 teams.
I mean, I like UP. I like,
But, like, you have a higher chance of Delhi Mumbai happening in WPL because there's half as many teams.
Yes. But what I'm saying is Mumbai in a final immediately makes the boringness rating of the final go up.
You're right, because they just choked the game away.
Yeah.
They are kind of like the Cricket Chiefs. In the worst fucking way.
They are. That's a very good comparison, yes.
Just, like, they manage the fucking shit away from you. Like, even their start, like, forgive me, Harmanpreet Kaur is an amazing cricketer. She's so good, and she played for Railways, which makes her super extra awesome in my eyes. But, like, I watch her play cricket, and I'm like, eh.
I agree. I was gonna say, like, you say she's a phenomenal cricketer, and she's a very coveted cricketer. She's done a lot.
She plays good cricket. She's an effective captain. She wins. Like, you can't say that she doesn't do those things. But I do not turn on the TV to watch Harmanpreet Kaur play cricket. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Some players are just not eye-catching, I guess. There's some people who, people love. Prithvi Shaw is an example of that. I made a song about him. Go listen to it. What I'll say about Prithvi Shaw is that, especially recently, he's not very interesting to watch. Rishabh Pant is interesting to watch.
He just annoys the shit out of you sometimes.
Yes. Because he's slashing his bat at everything, and that's fun to watch. But it's not something...
It's not fun to watch when it catches an edge.
Yeah.
Or he just misses it and it goes right in the middle and off. Yes.
I think, you know who else wasn't interesting to watch? Mithali Raj. She was... And you know who else wasn't interesting to watch? Sachin Tendulkar. Ricky Ponting. These are all players that, like...
They're too good.
It's funny to me because you mentioned, like, I don't tune in to watch them. There was, like, thousands of people who tuned in just to watch Sachin or just to watch Ricky Ponting. I wasn't one of them, And this is probably an unpopular opinion. It's not interesting cricket. Especially because now we've been attuned to, like, IPL cricket and scoops and reverses. And
well, you also, like, Sachin came up in a time when T20 cricket didn't exist.
Yeah.
So he learned a very different type of batting to a lot of these guys that we find so much fun to watch now, right? And I think that in terms of that technical style of batting, there might not have been, other than maybe Bradman, anybody ever better at doing that. Yeah. So for people who grew up on that type of cricket, like, fuck yeah, I'd probably, like, wait in line to see Sachin too.
Yeah.
But in terms of the modern game, like, that we grew up on, or you grew up on, and I fell in love with later, it's just not that fun, like, if I want to watch a test, I'll watch a damn test, if I want to watch perfect technical batting, I will watch that. I'll go watch the World Test Championship final and, watch the greatest dot balls you'll ever fucking see.
I also want to say this, because you're right. I didn't grow up with modern cricket, actually. I grew up with, like, Dravid, Lakshman, Sehwag, Gambhir, Sachin.
Shit, yeah, no, that's true.
These are the people that...
But at least T20 cricket existed.
Yes.
when you were a child.
Yes, but we loved watching those tests. Something about Dravid, he could block every delivery, and I would watch it like I'd be hooked. I would same with Lakshman. You know, there's something about Lakshman's batting that you just want to watch. I can't really pinpoint what it is, but Sachin's batting just always was like too cookie cutter for me.
Yeah,
it was always
too perfect, too textbook.
You know what I think it is? I think it's when you're playing for the team, you're always interesting to watch. When you're playing for yourself, which is the aspersion I will cast on Sachin, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
It's not interesting. Same with Pujara. I don't find him interesting. because I don't think he adds any value to the batting order. I just don't think he does.
He's a bit of a meme, though, which is fun.
I liked Rahane. I think he was a great addition to the team. I liked Shikhar Dhawan when he used to be in the test squad. He was like unceremoniously and quite randomly.
He's a lot of fun to watch, man.
He's great.
Slapping his thighs and everything. I love
that too.
Shikhar
Like
Dhawan.
the theatrics are great. But
Yeah.
his batting is also just so versatile.
Oh, yeah.
You never know what he's gonna do.
Exactly. And yeah, I just wish I'd gotten to watch him play cricket for my team before his eyes went, and when he could still pick up cricket deliveries and didn't get injured all the time. Too bad. It does remind me, though, what you were saying. It reminds me of the Champions Trophy, like watching KL and Hardik and KL and Jadu finish the tournament for India. Like the camaraderie that you could see, and just how happy they were for each other. You could really sense it when you have somebody out there who's just out there for himself. It's not as fun, you know.
Yeah.
You see these, and you see their individuality even more. You see how these are different guys that sort of come together. Like Hardik's the party boy, Kale's kind of the quieter, more
I mean, he's wifed up as well.
Kale.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Jadu's kind of the interesting guy with the raspy voice, and Shreyas is just the cool dude who sits back. And I had never seen Shreyas in an interview before, the end of the Champions Trophy. That dude could play James Bond, man.
Yeah.
He is so cool and collected. I'm I don't care if that man makes no runs. I'm so excited to have him as my captain.
You didn't see any of his post-match presentations with KKR?
Nah.
Are you not a KKR fan? Wow.
I know. You can't believe it. No, I'm only a KKR fan insofar as I talk to you about them.
Yeah.
I'll be watching a lot more of them this year because I'll be actually watching every single match. But yeah, Beth Mooney, Punjab KL, and that's why she didn't go to the final. Delhi Capitals, it didn't work out at the top order. Honestly, one of the few Mumbai Indians who I do enjoy really turn on the TV to watch, Shabnam Ismail, completely choked him out with the new ball. Honestly, dude, give her a run with the men's Mumbai Indians. The way she swings it like fucking crazy. Swing is fucking swing. I don't care what you were born with. You could swing the damn ball. I don't care how fast it is. If you get that kind of movement, she had an economy rate of 3 or 4. She almost bowled a maiden at one point.
Yeah.
She's nuts. Shabnam Ismail, congratulations. We had a very heroic comeback attempt from Marizan Kapp and Nikki Prasad that almost brought it back. They came within a few runs of winning it. It was, and that was after losing all of the top and most of the middle order. Honestly, I had taken a break from watching this game when they made the charge. So it was very admirable, and they almost won it back. But yeah, didn't happen. Mumbai wins again. I'm happy for Shabnam Ismail, Amanjot Kaur, and Sanskriti Gupta, the only 3 players that I tuned in and enjoyed watching. Everybody else bores me.
We have to mention that the team that did win the tournament had both the orange cap
and the purple cap,
Natalie Shriver-Brunt, and the purple cap, Amelia Kerr. And it's a rough attack to go up against.
And they almost had the purple cap with Hayley Matthews. So if Amelia Kerr hadn't won, it would have been Hayley Matthews.
Yeah,
who, in many ways, Hayley Matthews, embodies everything that I don't like. Out of the 3 great West Indian all-rounders in this tournament, she is the best at cricket, and she is the one that I like watching the least.
Deandra Dotton is somebody that I really enjoy watching.
Deandra Dotton is a fucking bomb. Chanel Henry was, alongside Sneh Rana, one of the players that, one of my 2, fuck yeah, love you players of this tournament.
Yeah.
And no, Chanel Henry does not have as good stats as Hayley Matthews, but I would much rather watch her play cricket. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel kind of the same way about Jason Holder in a strange way.
I hate watching him bat. I hate watching Jason.
Well, and watching him bowl isn't that interesting either. Like, he's
It is not
kind of bowl. He's like, and from a tradition that has produced almost exclusively extremely interesting cricketers. Like, both of them are so boring. I'm like, ugh.
He's like I also think Darren Bravo was not that interesting to watch either. I don't know why he came up, but I was just trying to think of like other examples of West Indians that are not interesting to watch. I really only could think of Darren Bravo.
Yeah. Well, and I don't mean like not you don't have to be like not bombastic. Like Sunil Narayan is not bombastic at all, and I would say he is arguably I would say he's way less bombastic than guys like Chris Gale or even somebody like
Really?
Yeah.
I would say he's like up to par. Like he doesn't score as many runs. But like,
No, but I mean just in terms of like he celebrates, but I always feel like I don't know. I always get the impression of him being like cool, calm, and collected.
Oh, are you talking about? I'm talking about his batting, not about his.
Oh no, yeah, of course no, but in terms of like sort of like showboating at it, like he's always been like kind of a level-headed cricketer.
Yeah.
But
You know,
he's still.
Did I tell you I met him at a hotel once?
You met someone around?
Yeah.
Were you like, I've never met a god in person before?
No, yeah, exactly. I was with that. Because I met Piyush Salva as well. And I went up to Sunil Narayan and I said, because I was there for a cricket tournament of my own. And I said, I was so nervous for the tournament. I went up to him and I said, because he was so chill. And I was like, what do you do before a game? You know, he says, just do what you do on a normal day. With the same, like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, like.
The guy's such a zen, chill guy. Like in person.
But this is what I mean. Like he's so chill, and yet, like I would argue, he's one of the most interesting cricketers ever. In just like the fact that he bends time and space to his will, and he seems completely unbothered by the fact that he can do that.
Yeah.
But some of these guys just like I don't know, like they bring out like 5 guys who are like totally insane and fascinating, and then it's like Jason Holder, and he's like the Keir Starmer of cricket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. Maybe Hayley Matthews is totally fascinating, and she's just like soft-spoken and chill. But I don't know. There's just something about MI. It's like getting beaten. It's like Drew McGarry said about getting beaten by the Chiefs. It's like losing to a fucking accountant.
Losing to an accountant. I want to say like Mumbai has to be given credit for their squad assembly. You know?
Oh yeah.
This is like the kind of squad that Mumbai Indians they had 3 years ago or 2 years ago when they won, the men's team that is. And now I still think they have a very formidable squad with the men. It's just that Hardik is the new captain. He's going to take another maybe year to adjust. Maybe not. Maybe he's going to be set. He's going to take some time to adjust, and that's why they had such a horrible season last year. And Mumbai has always been...
Or the conspiracy view, Hardik hates Akash and he's trying to play his way out of Mumbai.
I think it's rough on Hardik because when he went to Mumbai, he was so hated on. How do you even come back from that and play for Mumbai with the same zeal as you would?
I would argue, how do you still do that even after he's played so well for India? Like, if he's not making runs and he's not taking wickets this year, I'm telling you, he didn't want to get traded back, and he's trying to play his way out of Mumbai, and he's gonna go back to somebody else.
Gujarat?
PBKS, and like either become captain or like become the best player on the team, and everybody's gonna be like, where was Hardik? And then all of the Akash Jerry Jones talk is gonna start in India at a pace, which I'm very excited for. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe Mrs. Ambani knows how to build a cricket team, but her son does not.
Definitely. I mean, you saw the documentary, Cricket Fever, right?
We need to get a hold of that tape, which I'm assuming is like locked deeply in a vault of the Indian Intelligence Service, but if we can find it, we're going to react to that thing.
Let's do it.
Because I've only ever seen like the first maybe 1 or 2 episodes of it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't watch it all the way to the end. I can only take so much Akash.
I hear you. It is a frustrating watch, especially with, it's one thing, like once Akash is off screen, freaking Ishan Kishan is on screen. The most irritating thing straight from the depths of hell. I hate it. I hate every second of it. But watching
like American viewers, it's like you have to watch a documentary about like your favorite team, and like Woody Johnson's son is on screen for half of it, and the other half is Harrison Butker. Like, I don't know if Ishan Kishan has the same type of terrible moral views that Harrison Butker has, but He does have the same haircut, is what I'm saying. Or he has a haircut that's just as dumb.
I also want to make special mention, going back to the WPL, of Herline Deol. She had a great season, man. She had a great season.
She, like, you can only do so much, though. She was, like, you want to talk about carrying the team.
Yeah. 9 matches, 232 runs at an average of 38.66 and a strike rate of 120.83.
She's a huge reason why Gujarat Giants got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like, way too much in terms of their run scoring output was put on her. Ash Gardner, I think, played well, like, overall throughout the tournament, but, like, Phoebe Litchfield, you're a right-handed batter. Stop switching around and batting every single ball left-handed. If you want to bat every ball left-handed, just be a lefty. The switch hit is a cool shot, but it is a variation shot. It's not something you do on every single ball. Anyway.
David Warner and Glenn Maxwell have the same affliction. Well, Maxwell less so now. And Warner
Dude,
also
I've
less so.
never seen it like this, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you go back and watch her, and she played some good innings. I think that Phoebe Litchfield is really, really good, but she is running around, like, dancing around the crease way too much. I'm like, I don't know. I'm definitely not as good at cricket as you, Phoebe Litchfield, but, like, groundedness helps everybody.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit of zen.
I will say the whole one-shot thing, like, it's happened before. Like, when Chris Lynn was doing Linsanity, the next year he came back to KKR because everyone found out his weakness, which was the leg spinner.
He can't hit spin
He can't hit spin at all. And he definitely can't hit leg spin. So they were all saving their leg spinners, and suddenly they held back Rahul Chahar to bowl to Chris Lynn. Every ball he swept. Like, every ball he swept. Even if it was short, he would go down on his knee and he would swat it from short of length. And it's hard to watch. It's just hard to watch. So I didn't see that whole reverse sweep thing that you're mentioning, but...
Oh, what, with Sneh Rana?
No, with Phoebe...
Oh, well, she wasn't playing reverse sweep. She was doing full-on switch hits. She was walking across the damn crease, and she was doing it multiple times in innings.
It's crazy.
Like, dude, just, like, I don't know, Phoebe, you want to bowl, dude? Like, I can smoke you out. I don't know, you can stay root, like, okay, you can play the shot. Awesome, great. Pull it out when it's needed, but, like, and listen, I get frustrated with people telling me don't hit weird shots all the time too. I get it, but, like, get yourself going, see the ball, like, oh man, I don't know. That was frustrating to watch. So many innings of her just, like, doing these crazy shots, and, like, yeah, it would come off once or twice, and then boom, right into the freaking stumps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, she's young, to be fair. She's 21 years old.
All these Australian, like her, Georgia Vole, they're both really young. Georgia Vole, by the way, came in as an injury replacement and, like, was, like, the opener that UP Warriors needed for their entire season. She just came in like the second to last match.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like when you're young, you have this reckless abandon.
Yeah.
You know, like even with Sam Constas.
Yeah.
He just, like, scoops galore, he's scooping and sweeping all these pace bowlers, and you feel like, wow, this really only comes with youth, this level of...
Well, and I will concede, like, I can't sit here and like malign the serial killer boringness of Smudger and Marnus and not say that switch hitting on every ball is cooler than that. It is. But, like, let's like split the difference and win some fucking matches here is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am really excited for next season of the WPL. Maybe we'll have some more teams.
Hopefully.
I would like to see some more home matches. I would like these teams to play home matches and travel to see each other, not have the whole tournament in one city for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that there were, for the home matches where there was, a real atmosphere and people showed up, it was on par with the men's IPL, and especially for the first match I watched with RCB was credit to the RCB fans. They have it easier in women's cricket, but they don't have it easy, and they came out and they supported that team like crazy. And I would too if Sneh Rana was on my team.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right about the traveling because I feel like it really adds another dynamic to cricket. When you have to be worried about where you're playing, what the conditions are, home and away advantage.
And knowing your pitch, these teams and this has been one of my great frustrations with Punjab Kings over the past few years is that number one, we have changed home ground so many times we haven't been able to get used to our pitch, but we don't defend our home ground because we don't, know our pitch. I want to see teams their home ground, know their pitches, pick their teams based on where they're playing, right? You love to see these dynamics, and I think it's time to have it in the WPL. And frankly, if the holdup is they don't feel like buying them flights, buy them fucking flights.
Yep.
It's not that expensive.
Yep.
Harmanpreet Kaur might even have some frequent flyer miles she can throw in there. She has to play all over the world, so she probably has a few frequent flyer miles.
Surely.
Get a free flight to Lucknow or something. I don't know how many frequent flyer miles it takes to get a free flight from Mumbai to Lucknow, but if you know, email us at boltscricketpodcast@gmail.com, and I will see if I have enough. All right.
Wow.
I think that was a good pod, man.
Great pod. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
One piece of housekeeping notes. So we have the IPL starting this Saturday at
Pacific time, yeah.
At 7 a.m. Pacific time. Work off your time zone for anybody in a different time zone.
Maiden game of the 2025 season is
KKR and RCB.
Hell yeah.
That'll be fun. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Freaking watch it. I'm going to be playing my own cricket game on that day,
true.
but I'm still going to be streaming. So that's exciting.
That's exciting.
I also, just as a postscript, I want to mention a troubling discovery I made right before the podcast.
Uh-oh.
I share a birthday with Sepp Blatter.
It's a bummer, man.
It's a real bummer. It's a real shame. But also, go to Sepp Blatter's Google page. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
And take a look at what they've labeled him.
I once went to Sepp Blatter's hometown and thought about going... Well, it's a long story. I was on vacation in Switzerland, and we had to change trains in Sepp Blatter's hometown. Incidentally, all FIFA presidents come from 3 towns in one region of Switzerland. It's not even they're all Swiss. They all come from one very specific part of Switzerland.
Wow.
Anyway, and we tried to go to... we thought about going to the bar that he hangs out at there, but we got scared because there were all of these, FIFA pennants hanging in the window, and I was like... They'll probably just kick Americans out immediately because it was right after the FBI arrested all those soccer executives.
Oh my god.
So
of all the people to expose FIFA.
There's worse people to have the same birthday as, though. I mean, Sepp Blatter fucking sucks, but there's probably worse cricket people to have
March 10th?
Share a birthday with.
I haven't discovered anything like that yet. You know who else shares my birthday? Who kind of balances it out?
Yeah.
Justin Herbert.
That's sick.
Right?
That's pretty fucking
That's freaking
sick.
awesome.
That does balance it. And I will just say, if I offered you losing the same birthday as Sepp Blatter, but Douglas Jardine's birthday is now March 10th, would you take that trade? He was the captain of England during the Bodyline Tour. The tour where they just bowled balls at Don Bradman instead of to him. So Sepp Blatter doesn't have your birthday ever again. His birthday is March 11th. But Douglas Jardine's birthday is now March 10th. Would you take that trade?
You know what? That's honestly a thinker. Honestly a thinker, because they both suck. I don't know, man. You know what? If you said Stuart Broad.
Okay, Stuart Broad, yeah.
Then I'd take Sepp Blatter every day. If you said James Anderson, I would take Sepp Blatter every day of the week. If you said
Owen Morgan.
I'd take Owen Morgan. I like Owen Morgan. He's a former Knight Rider.
But he's a traitor to the state of Ireland.
Yeah, I really don't like that. I really don't like that. Yeah. This is a tough... Any of the English team would
The moral to this story is that the English suck.
Yeah.
Except for the music guys and some of the other guys. The comedians are pretty cool. Some of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them.
A lot of them are really cool. But
some of them are really not.
Yeah.
But a lot of the cricketers are
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the cricketers.
You know.
Joss Butler, Johnny Bairstow.
It's honestly
Ben Stokes. I don't like any.
It's a South. Well, Ben Stokes isn't even English.
Yeah.
For me, it's a South-North divide. Like speaking of Douglas Jardine, it's sort of the Jardine-Larwood divide, right? Jardine was the dipshit who decided to bowl the balls at everybody, but Harold Larwood was the bowler who had to execute that action and felt bad about it, right? Mm-hmm. So the Northerners always get like a small pass. Your Liam Livingstons, Johnny Bairstow's a Northerner. Sophie Eccleston. I think that's why Sophie Eccleston is my favorite British women's cricketer.
She's a nice person. I think she got pissed at the whole man-cating incident, though. I don't like when people get pissed at man-cating.
They shouldn't.
It's like, don't get out of your crease and you'll be fine.
It also tarnishes the legacy of Vinu Mankad.
Yeah, they changed it now to just run out.
Yeah, but like they already destroyed a great cricket career by being dicks. We can't have nice things in this society.
You know what's so funny? Like 10 minutes ago, we said that's it for the podcast. And
we had 10 more minutes.
Look where Sepp Blatter took us. Sepp Blatter took us all the way to the Bodyline Tour and to man-cating.
You're going to be glad you heard that. Anyways.
Anyway.
I think we can call that a podcast.
We can call that a podcast. We can call it a lot of things. Just don't call it late for dinner.
Print it. We will be back next week leading with IPL coverage. I think that we will be doing that for a little while until the IPL season is out.
Dodger coverage, IPL coverage.
And we also have a podcast Equinox coming up.
Here we go.
The first podcast Equinox birthed this podcast.
Don't even say it.
Which was the auction and the NFL season happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But we're also going to have the second podcast Equinox.
Don't even say it.
The IPL and the NFL draft at the same time. So get ready for a rip-roaring episode that week because we're going to be probably buzzing out of the room.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. You know why else it's going to be awesome?
Why?
Because next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Well, before we talk about next week's guest.
Yes.
I want to just let everybody know we will be releasing a full IPL preview later this week, which I will edit together mostly from a lot of our auction review because we cut most of that, realizing that it would be better as an IPL preview. So we will be releasing that this week as well in advance of the IPL. Yeah, and of course, next week's guest, we will be having...
How dare you?
Live from Japan.
Are you serious?
Live from the Tokyo Dome.
Oh my god.
Live and in person will be.
With our frequent flyer miles.
Will be Mr. Shohei Ohtani to discuss the end of the WPL and his feelings on the batting of Beth Mooney. So, for Ariane Ori, Mike Williams, and everybody else associated newly or oldly with the NFL's 4077th team, I'm Nick Cates, and I'm saying, well...
I've got so much to say and so little time to say it. Great job, everybody. Who's got it better than I?